Hey, Tom here. Welcome to my channel. You may have seen the video on how I made this sleeping bag from a packable down quilt. And I'm here to tell you today that I kind of messed up. You see, I didn't order enough materials and didn't have enough ClimaShield to put a third layer here to make this a warm spot instead of a cool spot. And also didn't have enough materials to make this hood big enough. And when I used this bag on about a 40-degree, very damp night a few weeks ago, it was not as warm as I would have liked. I ended up having to wear my puffer jacket inside of this. So I'm going to remake this hood with additional insulation. It's going to be taller and wrap around further on the sides so that I get a nicer insulation warmth on my neck and my face. So I'm going to do some seam ripping and I'll get back to you in a little while. Thanks for watching. Hey, Tom here. Welcome back. Pretty excited. My ClimaShield arrived. This is the 2.5 ounce per yard. I'll be using that to rebuild the hood and add some additional insulation on the front of my sleeping bag. This is the original hood, more like a big collar, and it's this charcoal gray color. But I ordered black instead for the fabric. Just made a mistake, but this is just for me, so I'm going to go with it. I've made a template, and you'll be able to see it's going to be quite a bit bigger, so that it's going to have more to wrap around on the side of my face. I'll cut a couple of pieces of the new ripstop and then some ClimaShield to fit in it. So I've ripped the seam on most of this front baffle. There's already 2 layers of ClimaShield, and I cut 2 more layers and attached it to the reflective material, and I'm going to be sliding this in, and I think that the combination of the 4 layers and the reflective material will really increase the warmth of this front section of the bag. Hey, I've inserted the ClimaShield and restitched this edge. Only messed up once or twice. This thin fabric is a little bit tricky, but now this has got a really nice loft to it, and it's going to give me a good baffle across the front, and with the addition of that silver reflective material, I think it's going to be super warm. Next, the new hood. I measured the top of the sleeping bag, 31 inches across, so doubling that, I've got a 62-inch circumference. And since I want the new hood drawstring to be about 1 inch away from the zipper on each side, I've made a template out of paper, or a pattern I guess you'd call it, and it is 61 inches long. Of course, when I fold over these ends to 1/4 inch folds, I'll lose a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch there. So that should work out so that it comes in right about there, 1 inch each side of the zipper. I'm going to cut some fabric, see how it looks. So I'm going to stitch these raw edges over in the same way that I did the short edges. And to do that, I'm going to fold this over at about 3/8 of an inch and start here with the back stitch and then go the whole length. Being careful to keep that fairly consistent, and that'll only take a few minutes. Here we go. I managed to pick up some 72-inch shoelaces from Wally Mart, only $2 on sale, and they're round, thin, not stretchy. They don't have the plastic thing on the end, but it looks like they've been heat sealed, so I think that'll work just fine. And given that it's 72 inches, it will go all the way around the perimeter of my new hood. So on the hood, I have folded over the short edge and both long edge. I also did the other end like this. This is a double fold, so I've got 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch there. And that will, when this is brought over, give me a nice, clean outside edge. You like to have that. So usually what I would do is turn this over and stitch along here to create a channel and then feed the shoestring through that. But I'm going to try something different this time. I have these nice thin round shoelaces, and I'm going to open up this, put in the shoelace, and then stitch as close as I can without hitting the shoelace to create the channel. I think that's going to work well. So when that's done, of course it'll be folded over right side out, and this will just be sticking out this way. This will get stitched down, this will be stitched to the sleeping bag top. I have my hood, and I've taken the climate shield and folded it over to approximately the same size at the highest point. And I position this on here because I want the folded over edge to line up with the straight edge where this will be attached to the sleeping bag. So I get that down all the way, and I take my handy marker, mark around this, and then I'll stitch it. Then I'll cut it out, and I'll end up with a couple of scrap pieces from here. And I'm going to use that to put an extra layer about here to here inside the hood. I'm not going to put the extra layer down here. I think that that'll be sufficient to have 2 layers on the wraparound part that goes down here. That's next. I've cut out the climate shield, got this long skinny ends and the larger here, and I've also cut a piece of my reflective material that will go together like so. And I think some of this shiny stuff is a little big, but that's okay because I can trim it down later. And this will all be folded over like so and fit in the hood. I'll slide it in like so, and this piece will come down here, and of course this one down here. Now I had mentioned that I had some scrap because of cutting this curve, and here it is. So I can take this and place it inside. I had to come up with a little bit just for there. I'll just be tack stitching this all together. So I'll have this additional layer in the center. That is going to make a really warm, puffy hood. And if I'm on trail and I don't need to wrap this around my head, it helps as kind of an extra pillow. That'll be comfy. So I have put together my 3 layers of climate shield in the center, 2 in the outside, and put the reflective material, emergency blanket, inside, and then loosely stitched it around the perimeter so that it would stay in place. Otherwise, when this is put together, the stuff is going to move all over, and we don't want that. Now this is just about ready to go. Together, I will be pinning it up and then stitch it. Be just about ready to go on the bag. As I think you can see, I have put a bunch of pins in this to hold everything together, and I'm going to stitch it up with a very wide stitch, like 8 per inch, because this edge is going to be attached to the sleeping bag, and I'll be stitching back over it again. So I'm going to get started on that. Get this all lined up. Not stab myself. I want this edge to be as good as I can make it in terms of being nice and smooth and lined up. So as I go, I'll pull the pins out. So this is going to be kind of a start and stop process. So let's get going. Oh. Almost forgot to adjust the stitch length. I've pinned the hood onto the top of the bag, and I'm a little surprised, but there's about a 3.5 inch gap right here. I thought it was going to be closer. I thought this piece would come over to about there. So I think what I'll need to do to close this off, because I don't want a big empty spot here, is I'll make a little mini tube and attach it here and have it come over to about the 1 inch away from the other one like I wanted. And I can add some Velcro on. Or maybe I'll take it all the way across and put the Velcro on it and put Velcro on here. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but you'll see. It'll take a few minutes to get it set up. Thanks. So here's what I've come up with. I've got one fairly large tube here with Velcro on the top, and then a short, smaller tube here. So here are the two pieces that I'm going to attach. Here's the first one. It's about 3 inches long, and this one is about 1 inch. So those will be sewn in. I'll have to stitch them across here and across here. But I think that will work pretty well. So that when these come together, they'll Velcro like so. I'll get that done, and I think I'll have a good solution to my little measuring error. The hood is attached, stitched all the way around. Got the 2 layers of Climate Shield here, and then about this point it turns into 3 layers, and it is really puffy, really nice. Turns out I didn't need the 2 little tubes, because in the act of stitching I guess this bunched up a little bit, so I just needed the 1 3-inch tube. So I attached some Velcro on here, and it goes together like so. I've got my drawstrings, and they pull in nice and tight. And on the end I have these so that it'll stay in place wherever you end up pulling it, with a knot on the end. Pretty straightforward. And this drawstring is stitched down in the center so that whichever side you pull, it only pulls on that side. I'm going to put this down on the floor and climb in and see how that hood works. I think it's going to be great. I'm in the bag. It's already feeling really toasty warm. This additional Climate Shield and reflective material in the front, this baffle is super insulating. So I'm going to hook this up, Velcro's there, and pull these drawstrings and see how well this conforms around my head and face. I think we have a winner. Oh yeah. This could be a very serious cold weather bag. Oh, this is nice. It's right around my face. I know I could draw this up even smaller. Covering my head, not compressed at all. This is excellent. Tom loves DIY. Feel free to subscribe, click the like button. I'll be posting some more videos in the next few days. Hope you enjoyed watching. I appreciate it. Thanks. God, this is so hot. I have to get out of this thing. I'm sweating. Whew.